April 13th. Here we are. Here we are in Springs on Saturday. We're about to commence a presentation of the Cities of Peace project in Kosovo, something that's taken about 2 years for me to develop to this point. And we hope after this, after we sign the MOU shortly, that we will make some real headway in making this project come to fruition. So that's it.
I'm as eager as all of you to hear what our guests today have to say, but I was asked to introduce our first speaker. My name is Esperanza Leon. I joked with him that he would have to introduce me first, and then I would introduce him, and we'd go back and forth for a while. But I'm here to introduce Stephen Dickman, who I've had the pleasure of working with for the last couple of years, and with this wonderful body of work by Ellen Frank. And so I'm really so excited to hear this, what you all have to say. So I will, especially what you have to say, but I will give it to you.
Yeah. So we're gathered here, and I thank you all for coming to talk about a project that I've been working on for the last couple of years, which is the Cities of Peace project that is going to be going to Kosovo. And I'll tell you in a minute why Kosovo. But first, I just wanted to summarize what you see around. Okay? These are not foundation paintings. Ellen started a foundation called the Ellen Frank Illumination Arts Foundation in, I believe it was 2004. And of course, she was advised not to do it, but of course she did it. And shortly after she started the foundation, she started the project Cities of Peace, which she considers a flagship project of her foundation. And there are 12 Cities of Peace paintings. The first 9 paintings were painted in our studio, or in her studio in East Hampton, okay, in Springs. And that was quite an experience for me, because shortly she had people coming from all over the world, literally from everywhere, from Israel, from Slovenia, from countries I never heard of. They would come to work with Ellen to learn the art of Goldsleep and to investigate the countries that Ellen chose to paint. After the 9 paintings that she did, Christina came to the studio, and I'll let her tell you about that. And she had the first show at Guildhall of the 9 paintings. After that, she went to Armenia. Armenia was an amazing place. I have loved Armenia. And so she painted, and forgive me if I sound effusive about what I saw when I came, because it was quite remarkable. What Ellen did was she went to this country. She'd never done a project like this out of the studio before, and she had met a woman online who was the wife of the president of the Russian Armenian University, and she invited her to go to Armenia. So, and they gave her a room in the university. So I would get there, and they would be working on the painting. Now, there would be maybe 20 different people working on this painting. Ellen had nicknames for everyone, and including the cleaning lady, and who ended up giving Ellen a present, goodbye present, because she also made a mark on the painting. It was remarkable for me to go to see how something happened out of nothing so quickly for Ellen. And I had, I would get there, the painting would be, seemingly an endless amount of work still had to be done. And the opening was supposed to be 2 weeks away. How are they going to finish it? But somehow they did. These people, they love working together. It was like this community. And they would all come every day and work on the painting. And the same thing happened. And there was the opening. Yeah, it was fantastic. And same thing happened in Kosovo and in Krakow. And it was, for me, it was a remarkable experience. Being with, and you're going to be meeting one of the young people at the end of the program, a woman from Kosovo who worked with Ellen on 2 projects in Krakow and in Kosovo. So that said, the paintings you see here are not part of the foundation. This is the last painting that Ellen painted. Enumeration of Wonders is what the show is named after. And if you see the painting, a poem embedded in the painting, which my dear friend Maria Messina is going to recite tomorrow. And that is the painting. And Ellen had it all translated into Arabic. Is it Arabic? Is it Farsi? Is it Farsi? At any rate, there it is. So we have several people going to be talking today about this project. So why Kosovo? Why did I decide? It was my responsibility. And so I'd never done anything like this before. And I had been to Kosovo with Ellen as I went to all these places. And Kosovo was a very special place. She was incredibly well received. There's a gentleman there called Skender, who you met at the last meeting that we had, and I was at his house and we phoned up. We did a FaceTime call, and Skender was there because I was staying with him, and he was the director of the museum where Ellen worked in Pristina, the National. And so I knew Ellen was very close to him. So I decided to give him a call. There's one anecdote which always I find incredibly moving, which is that about a week after Ellen got to Kosovo, Ellen gave me a call and said, "Steve, they're giving me a surprise birthday card." It always struck me. It was, just the feeling of being so welcomed by a community, and she was there. So I called up Skender, and I asked him, "Do you think it's a good idea to have this project in Kosovo?" He said, "Yes, absolutely. It's a good idea. Great idea. Tell me." So I had been thinking about doing it in the States, brainstorming with people about, maybe this place or that place. But, out of the blue to go to a university or someplace here in the States is difficult. So I decided, why not go where Ellen is welcome? And where they were, where they want to take up her work. So I went to visit Skender, my associate, or it was Ellen's associate first, who lives in Vienna, this wonderful, wonderful person. And I went to first Vienna, to visit Vienna for a few days, and then I went to Kosovo with Julia, and we met with the American ambassador there. We met with a lot of people. There's a lot of instability still in Kosovo, so the best place to do it, I was told, would be to do it part of the American University, which is Kosovo. The Rochester Institute of Technology has a Kosovo campus. So I met with an art teacher from the university, and we went and sat outside. I showed him a video that when Ellen was working in Pristina. She was by the American Embassy. So I did a beautiful video of her working on the paintings, talking about it. And he said, you want to meet the president of the university? So I said, sure. So we went up, and he was excited about the project. And so that's how it started. And gradually, I introduced myself to that gentleman, Myers. He was very excited about the project. I'll tell you exactly who he is. He's the Associate Provost of International Education and Global Programs, RID programs. So I thought he would be a good guy to call, so I called him. And I sent him the proposal. He was very excited about it. And we have meetings. Lee has been involved in most of the meetings continually. Now he wants to have a meeting every other week, which was great. We're about to sign the MOU. We've already presented to the board. They've approved the project, and onward. So now you will hear some other people talk. By the way, I'm happy to answer any questions, as I assume other people will be too. The first person on the list will be Christina. And why is she the first person on the list? Because she curated the very first Cities of Peace show that Helen ever had at Guildhall, and several others too. And they were absolutely magnificent. So thank you.
Good afternoon. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces. I'm Christina Strassfield. I'm currently the executive director of the Southampton Art Center, but had been the museum director at Guildhall for 29 years. So I've known Ellen for quite a number of years. I came from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I remember coming out in 1987. And being here, I didn't know a lot of the artists who were of the area. But what came across my desk was a press release, and the press release had on it an image of a larnaky, which is a Minoan burial vessel. Very obscure. It's what I did my master's thesis on. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, who is this artist that knows about Minoan, larnakys, these burials with a little sarcophagi? So it was Ellen. I called her up. She said, oh, please come to the studio. And I believe that these were the paintings that were at that time, because this is the Minoan bull dancer. This is the Minoan prince. This is the arch that you see. So many of these amazing pictures are here. I have to thank Esperanza Leon, because I think I've never seen Ashawagh Hall look better than with these paintings. I mean, really, bravo to me. Fantastic. But seeing all of these was truly amazing. And, meeting someone, sometimes I met many artists over my lifetime as a curator. So they'll take an image, they see an image, they want to use it in their work. When I met Ellen, she was like, well, this and this and that. She knew just as much as I did, having my master's in this particular area. And every time we talked about something different, so whether it was the Caryatid or whether it was the Roman paintings that you see behind there, first school, second school, she knew everything about them. And she immersed herself in the history of all of these different, ancient civilizations, but also contemporary civilizations. Followed her, was friends. And then, again, as Stephen said, She began to do this. Oh, I also want to say that I'm Greek Orthodox, so I love Illumination. I love gold. I love gold. So as she began showing me all the wonderful works that had gold on them, I was like, oh, I related to them immediately. I felt a real affinity to them. Once she had done the Cities of Peace, she invited me over, and I remember coming in, and she said, got a body of work I want to show you, and I'm so excited about it because I think the idea of peace, obviously, is something that we all love and feel for. So we were sitting in her living room, and I remember right behind me was here the Hiroshima one. The Hiroshima one. It was right there. And she began talking about it, and she showed me the map that's in it. She talked about the Crimson Line that's in all of the works. And I remember I just started crying. I was so overwhelmed. I was like, we are going to do this show at Guildhall. I had authorization, but we're definitely going to do it at Guildhall. And we did it a year later. We had planned it all out. We showed the works. I don't think they ever looked, they looked wonderful. They looked so wonderful in that setting. We did a celebration, a Cities of Peace celebration, where we had music and art and poetry. It was just an amazing experience for everyone who participated in it. People came over and over again. People would come. They would look at each work and they would cry. They would read about it. They would come back again and really absorb it. It was something that I think over the years, I've seen art affect visitors, but never as strongly as that show. That show really blew everyone away, and they just couldn't get enough of it. Ellen asked me shortly after that to be on her board, and I said I would love to be involved because I feel that this is something that has to go on. We have to have it show at other venues. She was able to get it at Old Line, and I curated it there. And it was a wonderful experience. It was great programming that we were able to put there as well. Every time there was a venue that was going to happen in Europe, she would call me and say, can you please look at the floor plans? Let's talk about it. What do you think would work? What do you think wouldn't work? And so we had wonderful dialogue going back and forth about all the different opportunities to be able to show Cities of Peace. So I think that what's going to be happening now going forward is truly amazing. A labor of love, Stephen, from you and from everyone involved here. I know that so many of you have been on the committee and been on the board and have actively involved. Show the Cities of Peace suite. And I think that's an important thing and an important opportunity, I think, to help actually fundraise for. We were able to get that at the Guildhall Museum of the Permanent Collection. It's something that is so worthwhile. Obviously, if someone is interested in purchasing that, I think that you're still being able to do that and to be able to fund all of these wonderful things that should be happening for the Cities of Peace. Ellen, that you'll never forget. She knew so much about every single topic. She was always interested, but I think every time I saw her, she was like, how are you? How's your family? How is this? It was never just, it was a personal connection that she had with, I think, everyone in this room. And that's why you're all here today. I will never forget her, and I know her art will live on forever. And I'm so happy to be here and to be celebrating her life.
So the next person who's going to speak is Lee Skulkin. And I asked the same question. Why Lee? Well, Lee will tell you, but I will tell you first. Lee has been a friend for a long time, many years. And at one point, Lee and Ellen spoke about really something like to have a building which was dedicated to all the Cities of Peace paintings. And 2 years ago, Lee called me up and we met for dinner, and we began thinking about this. And what can I say? Lee is fantastic. This, having a museum like this is, I think, something that Lee was meant to do. And the board, you should have seen when Lee presented to the RIT board, they were all just totally gaga over Lee's work. So I have a very long thing to see. I don't need to read it. Well, I should read something. Yes. But for those of you who don't know, Lee designed the Children's Museum in Bridgehampton and the church in Sag Harbor. Muhammad Ali Museum. He did that, and he did something in Bulgaria at the moment, and has won Lifetime Achievement Award for the Long Island chapter of the AIA, American Architectural Institution, and several other awards. And absolutely an honor to have Lee part of this project. That please, thank you.
So I always speak extemporaneously, and today for some reason I sat down at the computer and wrote something. I don't know why. I just wanted to make sure I could capture what is so incredible. You say it's an honor. It's an honor for me to be here. Ellen is this rare combination of intellect, spirituality, and humanism. I'm obviously a brilliant artist, extremely well-read, well-informed, extraordinarily motivated to heal the world. And she firmly believed that art is a vehicle to deliver us to peace and harmony, to a higher plane of existence, that through bearing witness to the horrors that haunt our history, we can seek resolution and transport ourselves and the world to a better place. We're embarking on a spiritual quest in the form of designing a home for Ellen's masterpieces, cities of peace. And the architecture must embody the DNA of not only this remarkable suite of artworks, but also the philosophical and spiritual underpinnings that are embedded in that program. And make no mistake, this is the fundamental place of all architecture. To resonate with all aspects of our lives, our beliefs, our mores, our values, the health of the environment, the compatibility with the immediate context, and most ambitiously, but also most crucially, the universal truths that frame our existence. Yes, truths. We must remember that truth is beauty, that only through mining the authenticity of the situation can we find the path to achieving those truths and manifesting them in our mind interventions. We seek the essential narratives that supplant and transcend superficial obsession with mere style and prettiness. And we must recognize that architecture, when it truly succeeds in realizing its potential, offers what I call a six-dimensional answer to the challenges that it poses. Yes, there are the three-dimensional characteristics of the object itself, but then there is the incalculably critical element of time. Goethe proclaimed that architecture is frozen music, but this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the art form. It is the movement of people in space over time that gives it power. Then there is memory. We understand the meaning of an experience through reflection on how it relates to what we have experienced before, which brings us to association. It is through the cognitive connections we make that we contextualize the experience and fit it into the jigsaw puzzle of our ever-evolving consciousness. And finally, there is values and beliefs. For architecture to embody the deep meanings that ennoble us as a culture and community, must interpret through its material presence the ephemeral yet intractable nature of our faith, however we define it. It is only by tapping into all six of these elements that we can create something life-enhancing experiences that can be the gift of architecture. And that's what characterizes our approach to this project. Whether it is a library, a school, a museum, an affordable housing project, a place of work or recreation or entertainment, the foundational place in our lives of the home. There's no substitute for the deep immersion in all aspects of the situation as a means of crafting a meaningful response. And this is exactly the process we will bring to the home in Kosovo. For the Ellen Frank Illumination Arts Foundation. Place of humanity, education, respect, and reconciliation. A place where all who come will learn, be enlightened, share trust, and the liberating nature of creativity. So we're going to do.
Hi, Henry. So, it's been quite an experience for me. I mean, as I keep saying, I've never done anything like this, and so it's made me a different person, and making all these phone calls, meetings, and whatever. But here we are. So it's been 2 years in the making. So at one point, so I met with the president, quite a gentleman, Kamil Sharabi, the president of RIT in Pristina. And I was, to be honest, well, one thing that you experience in doing something like this, and occurred to anybody in business, I guess, is that people say they're going to call at a certain time. And then they don't call, and then you just wait, and you don't know what to do. So Dr. Sharabi is a wonderful guy, but, you know, I was getting... So that's why I just, out of the blue, I call this guy. And he has been very responsive and lovely person, and has made a real commitment. I think he understands the project. And I don't think I could have found a better person to collaborate with. So this is Jim Meyer. He was not able to be here. He had talked about being here. He went on a vacation, and he and his wife both came back sick. But he did it.
Hello and good evening. My name is Jim Myers. I'm the Associate Provost for International Education and Global Programs at Rochester Institute of Technology. It is my sincere regret that I'm not able to be there this evening. Stephen invited me, but unfortunately this is about the busiest time of year that we academics have. So I'm very sorry to miss tonight's event. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Stephen and the Alan Frank Illumination Arts Foundation for their commitment that they're making to share the extraordinary works that Alan facilitated and helped create, and to share the process by which she brought both peace, social justice, creativity, innovation, and really the coming together of communities in conflicted areas around the world. It's an honor to be associated with such a project, and it's an honor to be associated with Stephen and Alan's legacy. I also want to tell you a little bit about RIT and RIT Kosovo. RIT Kosovo, where this project that you're all learning about this evening is going to be located, is really a labor of love for me. I've been involved with the project since its founding at a time when Kosovo was emerging out of conflict. It seemed almost impossible, the idea of an American university located in a country that was recovering in the ways that Kosovo was recovering at the time. The idea now that we have this opportunity to create really an iconic space in our relatively new campus in the newest country in Europe, for a campus that's really dedicated to the precepts that Alan espoused through her work in terms of peace, conflict studies, social justice, and equality for all. We're excited about this opportunity. The project in Kosovo, we're now into our 20th year, and we have over about 600 students on that campus. They're all primarily from Kosovo and the surrounding region. It has really become a cornerstone of education, not just in Kosovo, but in the Albanian community throughout the region and even beyond. RIT has been the partner with the American University and Kosovo Foundation throughout those 20 years. We offer the only degrees there. It's an American degree. It's accredited in the United States under our Middle States accreditation. And the other aspect of this program, that project really that Stephen is proposing and that we're happy to be part of, is that RIT has a strong arts and design tradition on our main campus in Rochester. We are home to the Vignelli Design Center, which houses the archives of Massimo Vignelli, Massimo and Leila Vignelli, I should say. And we also house the Cary Graphic Arts Collection, one of the preeminent graphic arts collections in the world. And we're home to the Image Permanence Institute, which is a renowned facility that supports scientific archival work around the globe. So the idea that we would have a facility now at this really still very young campus in Kosovo that will allow us to curate and promote art and design work throughout the region and celebrate, we hope, aspects of Albanian and Serbian and all kinds of art across the region. We're excited about that. And we think we have the capacity to support the project, both academically and in terms of the curatorial kinds of resources that would be needed to make the project work. It's a big commitment. It's going to take a lot of work and energy and money to make this happen. I'm grateful to all of you who showed up tonight to learn about the project and to express my gratitude for your support and all the ways that you can support this project. I also want to invite anyone who would be interested in coming to Kosovo. If you're in Europe, in Southeastern Europe at any point in time, we would love to have those of you who are in attendance tonight visit the campus, see what we're trying to do, and get a sense of what the opportunities might be for the kinds of facility and programs that we're talking about developing. Again, I want to thank Stephen. I want to thank his family and the celebration of Ellen's work and her life. And I want to thank all of you for being there this evening. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
So that's Jim Myers. I found him to be very honest, good, a good person to work with. And one thing that we haven't mentioned is that on the campus of RIT Kosovo, they will be giving us a piece of land for this project. So it's, as we understand it now, it's going to be very prominently situated right on the road. And I think they're very excited about having Lee's building there. So, and they'll be very happy to feature it. So so that's Jim Myers. Now the next person I want to introduce you to is Abigail Disney, a friend of Ellen's for many, many years. Maybe you remember, some of you who were at the St. John the Divine event in the city where the Cities of Peace was shown. Ellen had a round table, right, of several people, and Abby was there as part of that. And more recently, at the opening of the Christina painting, we received a video of Abby speaking about Ellen's project, and it's the way the evening opened. We showed this video, and it started the evening very, very, very nicely. Everybody greatly appreciated that. So, but who is Abigail? So I will let me introduce to you Abigail Disney, a remarkable individual who wears many hats as a filmmaker, philanthropist, and activist. Abigail advocates for real changes to the way capitalism operates in the world. utilizing her platform to support peace building, gender justice, and systemic cultural change. Her Emmy-winning documentary, The Armor of Light, and her latest film, The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales, have captivated audiences worldwide, sparking conversations about our society's most pressing issues. Through her work with Level Forward, Peace is Loud, and the Daphne Foundation, Abigail continues to champion storytelling as a powerful tool for social commitments and positive change. So, please join me in welcoming Abigail.
Hi. It's just so nice to be here. And it's so nice to hear from Stephen. I'm so all respect and admiration for Steve for putting this together and for developing the relationship with RIT and knowing that Christina was the right place and bringing the end. And I suspect it comes from deep love and many, many good years together. And so it's all the more wonderful for that. You know, it's always a sign of how much you were meant to be working together and talking together when you can't quite remember how you met each other, you know, because you were sort of always there together. So I don't exactly remember when I first met Ellen, but I know it was right around when I released my very first film, Pray the Devil Back to Hell, which was the retelling of this incredible story of women in Liberia who'd been through years and years of civil war and who put together this nonviolent peace movement. They all were white, they were Muslim and Christian, but they worked out and learned each other's prayers. And they sat by the side of the road every day on the president's way to work and prayed and fasted and sang. And ultimately pressured him into peace talks that the international community was calling for in Ghana, and then followed them there, and we're outside the peace talks, fasting and praying. And then ultimately the peace talks kind of broke down in the ways that peace talks always do. They surrounded the building, and they sent a note inside saying, "We're taking you all hostage for the women of Liberia." It's one of the best stories that I ever have found. I wasn't a filmmaker when I found that story, but I came home kind of obsessed with it, and that sort of gave me my life. But it also gave me this weird other life, where I started finding myself in rooms full of people who really, really cared about peace and wanted to talk about peace. You know, actually been a little obsessed with war for most of my adult life, which is really strange. And nobody who fought the war, and it's not a thing in my family. But you know what? There was some tempers and sometimes some violence in the home I was growing up in, and then I kind of always looked on to. I always felt like an entomologist watching them use their tempers or whatever, and I think, what is going on here? And that's kind of what I brought to thinking about war as an adult. It does still mystify me that we keep using this ancient way of not solving any problems over and over and over again. We send our most beautiful young people into a field and point their guns at each other and say, "Now fire." How do we ever think that's ever going to solve any kind of a problem? So I met a fellow traveler in Ellen when I met her, right after Pray the Devil Back to Hell came out, because she shared my mystified and amazed and kind of flummoxed feeling about it. And so slowly she brought me into this project that she was doing, the Cities of Peace. And she had this way of talking about peace where I knew we were going to be friends, because she got that it was not just a state you arrive at. It's more like a posture, right? As a series of decisions and ethos, a practice, not an event. And it's treated in the international community like an event, for which there is a cause and effect, and it's just not that simple, which is why we so often fail at, right? So one of the things she taught me to notice was the way cities figure into the stories of war, because the cities that she's featuring in particular are very often like the very heart of the country involved in that war. And they are cities that people in that country feel an incredible pride in, and the cities that hold the history and the culture and the art and the memory of the people and the place. In my view, cities are a kind of almost sacred thing, because in them, people come together. People work together. Their lives are there, their homes are there, their families are there. Everything they want, aspire to, and dream of for their culture is there in the city where they're together. It is peace. A city, when it's functioning, it's like, sometimes there are outbreaks of violence, sometimes there are conflicts, but you work it out again and again and again. And looking at the way she took that series of ideas and that ethos practice around peace and applied it to Kabul, to Sarajevo, and to some of the other cities that I've seen after, conflict has come. It's really hard when we go to a city after a conflict has come, because especially when I went to Monrovia, it was the first time I'd been in a place like that, and there were still 11,000 peacekeepers there, and I just couldn't get over the number of bullet holes in everything. Like, if every bullet is an attempted murder, what could possibly drive that level of violence and irrationality? I wish she had been able to do Monrovia, because I heard it was once a really beautiful city. But she used her gift to resurrect those hopes and aspirations that people brought into those cities and lived every day until outer forces and other agendas, in many cases other countries, decided to use the city as their place to express this completely irrational thing. And so she lifted these cities right back up again to where they belong in the imagination, and gave people a look at themselves and their country all over again. The women had a special power in Monrovia and in the peace talks, because I was able to ask one of the warlords this question. We'd been in the room. I said, they send security to arrest these women in this moment, and one of the women threatens to strip naked, and security says, "No, we're not arresting you." And then everything flips. It's classic nonviolence. Then all of a sudden they have the power. And there are statistics that say as many as 2/3 of the women in Liberia had been raped at one time or another during this war. And I said to him, "You guys clearly don't care about women's sexual self-determination. Why would woman threatening to strip naked make such a difference to you?" And he looked at me like I was kind of stupid. He said, "Honest." And you would have to ask yourself, what have I done to make my mother do that? And it really just, my eyes came wide open, and I thought about it. I thought, like, what if, George Bush's mother had shown up, at the Pentagon and stripped naked? Like, what? Well, yeah, we would have freaked out too, and it might change things. And I realized that there was this special power, and as I thought about it more and more, it was that we all start in a peace. Like, very few of us don't start with a mother, maybe not always a mother, maybe a father, a sister, a brother who holds us and feeds us and keeps us warm and says, even before we have the language for it, "You're going to be okay. This is going to be okay. And I'm going to take care of you, and we're going to do this together." A mother is a reminder that we all started in peace. And if we already knew peace, then we don't have to work toward this faraway thing, right? It's something we already know in us. And I think that's what Ellen was achieving in the cities of peace. We've already been there. This is what it looked like. Do this again. We are, most of us. The people who destroy this are just a fraction. And they may destroy it again, but we have it in us to make this. We can make it again. And so I think that's why we developed that fellow traveler kind of friendship, because we both felt so strongly that the destruction of a place isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new story, and that most people in these places see that too. So I'm so delighted that you're going to be taking us to Pristina, and I want to come to Pristina and see it wins. Up and going.
Thank God. there's one more video I'm going to show you, but for me, this experience, I have had so many people, and it's quite a remarkable life to have shared. So yeah. So the last person I'm going to play is a woman whose name is very hard for me to pronounce. Luntri Kresniki, something like that. But she is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful person. Ellen called her Luma, and I've called her Duma also. And so I met her in Kosovo. She was working on the Pristina paintings, and Ellen thought very highly of her. And when she did the painting in Krakow, she came to Krakow to be one of the lead artists there. We worked with Ellen, and along with another woman named Louisa. The video, her English is very good, but she does have a strong accent. So she's going to talk about that. And they did one more project on their own, dedicated to Ellen, which was a project that Ellen had started, was never able to finish, was a project in Italy, and they did it on their own. And you can read a little bit about it online. But I had to write some things for them, so I was very proud that they followed through on this particular project. They were so dedicated to Ellen's vision. So it's hard for me to watch this video. I do for a personal reason, because she's such a lovely person, and I know how she worked with Ellen, So, but basically I have sobbed 3 times watching this particular video. Maybe when you watch it, you might not even know why, but
Hi everyone, my name is Luntri Kresniki, and I'm a visual artist from Pristina, Kosovo. I met Dr. Ellen Frank in 2018. She came to give a lecture at the Faculty of Arts, University of Pristina, while I was studying there, and her lecture was very inspiring to me. And I remember that right after the lecture, I went directly to the museum of the National Museum of Kosovo, where she was undertaking the Cities of Peace project, to ask if I could join. And Ellen welcomed me. She had me to try the technique that day, and asked me to actually work on the large painting immediately. And I was so happy about it as a young artist, as a student, to be working in such a huge project, an important one. Working closely with Ellen, with this passionate and strong woman, was very significant to me as a young artist coming from a country that has gone through trauma and conflict. And myself, I'm a child of war. And usually I didn't like to work in this project that had to do with our collective pause, but working with Cities of Peace and Ellen, it felt very different. It brought me peace, and I think it brought peace to everybody. And this was because Ellen was so good at transmitting it to us. Later, after this project, in 2000, actually in the same year, Ellen came for a second project, and she asked me to be her assistant and one of the leaders for the small projects that she was planning to have in Pristina. I was so thrilled. I really enjoyed that project, and I got to experience a glimpse of what Ellen was doing with this project in different countries, but of course in a very small scale. That project went so good, and after that, Ellen asked me again to be her artistic assistant, but this time in Krakow, in Poland. And I can say that 2019 was a year that I will never forget. Working so closely with her, going through all these challenges that we faced in Krakow, but also through this totally beautiful experience was very impressive for me. I do remember the connection that we actually had a very, very good connection in the previous project, but in Krakow our bond became stronger, and Ellen wasn't just a director to me, but she was a very good friend and also a guide. And that was the last project that we actually worked together. In 2021, she told me about the project that she had envisioned in Italy, together with Jim at Rondinista del Poce. But unfortunately, we lost Ellen that year. But I can say that fortunately, she had transmitted enough motivation to us to continue her idea and her desire about this beautiful project. And yeah, together with Steve and Jim and Luisa and Julia and other collaborators from Italy, we made it happen last year. We made this huge project working with different countries at the same time at Rondinista del Poce. And it was, again, a very, very beautiful one and a strong one, especially as we were not together with Ellen this time. And it was hard but beautiful to try to fill Ellen's shoes. And I can say that everyone actually fell in love with the project, but not just with the project, but with Ellen herself, even without meeting her in person. I can say that I had a very, very strong connection with her, but who didn't? Everyone who ever met her and got to work with her fell in love with her, and I was no exception.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention a couple of things, which is that I have also placed two other works at Ellen's. One, some of you may know about the Hanukkah Illumination project. So that is now in the National Library of Israel in Jerusalem. And the Book of Judith is in the Magnus collection in Berkeley. And this particular painting is not for sale. I would love to have it be in a public space. Genevieve and I are trying to make proposals, as we are also with King Arthur in that particular project. He has a account. And I was hoping to announce something. It's a fact that we were taking. But at any rate, so that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer, either standing up here or sitting down. Where?
It's almost Ellen's free saying.
Oh, and I think at 2 o'clock tonight, a week from Thursday, we'll be Elder Experience. And I will be in 2 weeks from yesterday.
2 weeks from yesterday.
Is that right? 2 weeks from yesterday. Yeah.
Did everybody meet?
This is Ellen's brother. Yeah. Fine.
Hi, brother.
Yeah. Very, very lucky to have a very good friend in Ellen's brother. So thank you. Yeah. What's the difference with the always? You can go online to citiesofthieves.org to check out what's happening, to see all the projects that Ellen was involved in, and if you're not already on the mailing list, let me know, and we'll put you on the mail list, because we do send out a newsletter about all the things that I'm doing and trying to accomplish. So I think.
Keep on going.